So what are we doing now?
We need to shoot a short video clip about RAID 6.
RAID 6? Why? What's there to talk about? It's RAID 6, done deal.
Man, who do you work for, EMC? Don't you know what makes RAID 6 special on an IBM DS4200 and DS4700 system?
No, I'm still trying to figure out why we're here.
I think I might have chosen the wrong guy to help make this video.
Okay, Mr. Smart Guy, you tell me what the heck is so unique or different about RAID 6 on an IBM DS4000 that it warrants making a movie about it.
Alright, here's the deal. RAID 6 has been designed to enable customers to survive the simultaneous failure of two drives, or really to survive the far more likely event of an unrecoverable error during a failed drive rebuild. The interesting thing is, there's two basic ways of dealing with RAID 6.
Finally, we're getting somewhere. What are the two ways?
Well, the two ways to implement RAID 6 is the completely non-standardized RAID 6 DP method, or you could use the standardized RAID 6 P plus Q method.
Of course! It's simply DP versus P plus Q. Why didn't you just say that from the start? What the heck is DP and P plus Q?
DP is dual parity or duplex parity or double parity. I think you get the idea. It starts off looking like RAID 5 with a horizontal RAID stripe and rotating parity. We have data, 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 parity. And then it'll shift and start on the next and parity will rotate through. After this is done, the system then performs a second operation where a vertical stripe on an angle for the second parity bit has to be created. It will go back to the first data bit and it will start there and go data, 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 parity. That means that every time the application wants to send data to the storage system, there will be two calculations and two write operations.
That means RAID 6 DP is going to have a noticeably negative impact on performance, doesn't it?
Exactly.
So what is special about the other way of dealing with RAID 6?
RAID 6 P plus Q also starts off looking like RAID 5 with a horizontal RAID stripe and rotating parity. Data, 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 parity. However, while it's performing that, it's also simultaneously calculating and writing the Q value, the second parity value. What's really cool about all of this is that it's done in a single pass, a single write operation.
So it can virtually eliminate any negative performance issues that you encounter with DP solutions, yet it still protects you from the same double failure scenario.
You've got it. And just as a side note, RAID 6 P plus Q requires an unbelievable amount of math, and that's why it's only done with dedicated hardware, the kind of dedicated hardware that you find in a DS4200 or DS4700. Most people who do RAID 6 do RAID 6 DP and do it in software.
So it sounds like there isn't any case where RAID DP can offer better performance than RAID P plus Q.
Correct. RAID 6 P plus Q outperforms RAID 6 DP in every situation. And in some cases, the differences are huge. You've really got to watch out for companies that use non-specific veiled statements like, our RAID 6 DP implementation invokes only minimal differences over RAID 5. Look folks, if the differences are that minimal, then quantify them and tell us what the difference really is.
You're right. I've always heard there is a fair amount of difference between the performance of RAID 5 and RAID 6. So what about us? How does RAID 5 and RAID 6 P plus Q compare on the DS4000?
Well, that's a great question. IBM is going to be releasing SPC2 benchmarks in the very near future that will show the difference on a DS4700 to be only 2%.
Wow, only 2%? That's awesome. But what is an SPC2 benchmark?
Oh, sorry. I thought you knew about them. There is one and only one industry standard, vendor-neutral, storage-only benchmark organization, and that's the Storage Performance Council. They have a random data, an IOPS benchmark called the SPC1, and they have a sequential data, a megabytes per second benchmark called the SPC2. These tests are as close to real world as is possible. What's really attractive about them is that they enable customers to compare results from one vendor with results from a different vendor, even if the tested systems are different sizes. The beauty of all this is that IBM doesn't ask prospective customers to just believe a lot of marketing hyperbole. Rather, they use industry standard testing to provide independent proof of their claims.
Okay, now this little video makes sense. Let me see if I have this straight. 1. There is no standardized RAID6 DP. 2. There is a standard for RAID6 P plus Q. 3. There are significant performance deficits associated with RAID6 DP. 4. IBM provides rock-solid, quantifiable proof of their statements.
You've got it. You are now a RAID6 P plus Q DS4000 expert. And if you want more information and details, ask your IBM representative for the URL where you can find the Understanding RAID 6 PowerPoint presentation.